And welcome back to day 29 of Survivor 50 seasons in 50 days. I just finished watching Survivor San Juan del Sur, Blood versus Water 2, where Natalie Anderson wins in a vote count that I'm going to talk about this a little later. I just forgot that Jacqueline actually got 2 votes instead of 1. We'll talk about why that's relevant a little later. So the panel for tonight, making their returns, we have Wes, who did Vanuatu, and we have Chan, who did China. And then first time on the marathon through the 3 times we've done this, fairly soon. Yeah, it is. We have Christine from the Bitter Jurors podcast. Thank you so much for joining today to talk about a season that, as we talked about before we went live, that was hated for a very long time, and similar to South Pacific, has seen kind of a rebirth in the last few years where people love it all of a sudden. I think because of the cartoony characters we get, I kind of put it in the Gabon category of it's not good. The players aren't good for the most part, but it doesn't stop the fact that it's entertaining, if that makes sense. And so we'll start with you, Chan. Why San Juan del Sur? Why I asked you if you wanted to come back. You said San Juan del Sur. Why this season?
Yes, so thanks for having me back. Natalie Anderson is one of my favorite winners. Not only is she badass, but just a masterclass in her end game. I'm sure we'll get there and talk about all the details, but just so fun to see all girl final 3, which is also a bit, rarer, especially I think 49 was the next. Yeah. Was the most recent one since then. So yeah, just great winner. I find it super entertaining. I was a little bit, I didn't watch this way back when it first aired. So I didn't get the whole, oh, we hate this, whatever. I loved it the first time I saw it and I loved it again. So happy to be back talking about it.
Wes, same camp. When I first sent out the invites, this was one of the seasons that you kind of hopped on early. What is it about San Juan del Sur, whether positive or negative, that you wanted to discuss it?
Yeah, so number one was 100% like winner, was like same reason I love, well, slightly different character reasons, but overarching theme reason of why I did Vanuatu and San Juan del Sur is this come from behind, epic, just very fun play from the bottom win. And then selfishly, it's the only season with a Wes. So there's
that is true, and I would say that you're the better Wes, but our Wes does do fairly well in this season. And Christine, I know that since I've been following you, you have been doing recaps of both seasons that people are underappreciate and also really good seasons. Where does San Juan del Sur fall for you in 2026?
Well, San Juan del Sur was one of the first ones I thought I would eventually do a podcast on, and I'm just like holding it off because I'm trying to stick with some old school seasons, and I've gone away a bit from the theme of underappreciated to just like really focusing the old school stuff. But San Juan del Sur that name has been in the chamber for a long time. First of all, Wes, you are my enemy because you took Vanuatu from me, but you are also my sister because you see the vision. Vanuatu is my all-time favorite season, and for similar reasons, I really love San Juan del Sur, but more because I want to talk about it because people always talk about, as you mentioned, people talk about it's like a middling season, or it's like, there's the opinion has changed a bit, but people will still be like, well, the pre-merge sucks, but it doesn't. And I feel like Vanuatu also gets that rep too. People be like, well, the pre-merge is really slow, and like you watch Vanuatu and it's hilarious. Like there's so many great character moments, and I think San Juan del Sur, I wrote about, this is one of the seasons I wrote about when Inside Survivor did our like season countdown, and I went back to read what I wrote because I did that in like 2020. I was like, I don't even remember what I wrote, and it had like listing out like all these iconic, hilarious moments and also like really interesting game moments. It's a stacked season from the start. You got like racist and homosexual stuff. You got like Natalie Anderson going after John Rocker, the Drew Christie of it all. Like there's so much going on just in the pre-merge, and then you get to that string of blindsides in the merge and the incredible end game for Natalie Anderson. I think one of the greatest end games for any winner ever. Just like what isn't there to love about this season?
And what the season does have over Vanuatu, I didn't expect to talk about Vanuatu this early in the San Juan del Sur recap, but what the season does have over over Vanuatu is, I don't think the Vanuatu's pre-merge is boring. It's just that we talked about it with Wes, 2-3 weeks ago. The generic whites pre-merge of Vanuatu kind of like, I'm sitting here 3 weeks later and I can't name. I know there was a Brooke. And then there were two people that had the same name, and then there was another guy. Yes.
John P. John
and
K.
And there was another guy. And there's the generic whites of it all that San Juan del Sur does not have, because every character, including the generic whites of the Christie brothers, Drew Christie brings what he brings. Alec brings the memes. But even in that situation, they still have very distinct characteristics that you remember who they are. This is not recency bias. I will remember these people in 2 weeks when I'm talking about 45 or 46 and realizing, oh, I remember Drew and Alec Christie. They were dumb, but like it was fun. Before we went live, I asked you, and I'm just gonna I'm not gonna put you all on the spot now. I'm just gonna answer my own question. I said during Gabon that it's basically a live action version of Total Drama Island, and that Survivor Nicaragua is just a shitty parody of Survivor Gabon. I think that San Juan del Sur is a modern day remake that's better than the original of Gabon, because once again, it's just a bunch of cartoon characters that don't really know what they're doing, and it leads to a lot of funny, fun moments that, Gabon is just people just being angry with each other and just kind of voting off of whatever. And here we have people like Jeremy and Josh who are actual game players, but we also lose them early. And we have Natalie, who doesn't really know the game and just learns it on the fly and dominates the back half of the season. I kind of want to this is just a brief question, I guess. Why do y'all think that San Juan del Sur, up until very recently, hasn't been looked at as what I feel like all of us kind of are on the same page of? This is good shit, pal. Like, why we shit on it for so long as a collective, as a whole, when there's really nothing inherently wrong with it outside of, oh, these people don't know how to play the game. Anyone can go.
Well, I think it's worth comparing this and like the original Blood versus Water. I would call, like, for me, like San Juan del Sur is like the yassified Blood versus Water, because to me that season, there's like nothing wrong with it, but it's not a season I return to personally. It's not a season I like really like hold on to, because there aren't like it's like perfectly like good gameplay, like perfectly fine strategy, but it just doesn't pop for me. And that's the same way where I think some people might write off San Juan del Sur as like the strategy is sometimes a little over the place. Like the pre-merge is a bit of a mess. And like, some of the moves are not great moves. And I think people can like latch on to like good strategy and like good gameplay and like good decisions as like being inherently better than a season with more interesting like character moments and like more like, in my opinion, like shocking votes. Like I think like San Juan del Sur is like a string of like shocking outcomes in the post merge, and to me that stuff sticks with me more. But I also think there's like, for a long time, like the kind of like the zeitgeist of these seasons is more like, oh, but like this was an important season for strategy because like a rock draw happened. Like I'm not like shitting on Blood vs. Water, but like that, I think that comparing them is helpful, because I see people really highly rate Blood vs. Water and like not highly rate San Juan del Sur, and I feel like it's that disconnect of like good strategy versus good character.
Is this was 28 was Cagayan, right?
Yeah,
that might also
that too. Yeah,
there's also that. Yes,
regarded as one of the top seasons for almost everybody I've talked to. Maybe that's controversial. I didn't watch yesterday, so maybe I'll talk to different direction. But
no, sadly, I still enjoy it after all this time. Like, it's still good.
Other than that, I can't really hypothesize, because like I said, I liked it the first time I watched it. I liked it now. So it's okay for people to be wrong. They were.
Yeah, it is. And at the end of this, I'm going to give where San Juan del Sur falls 29 seasons in for my personal rankings. And I feel like, once again, y'all wouldn't be shocked based off of how this conversation is going to go. Wes, do you have anything to add?
Yeah. I had a similar insight to Chan of San Juan del Sur had the somewhat unfortunate placement of not only being after Cagayan, but also like 2 seasons before Cambodia. So even people who were playing catch up, and I can put myself into this category of back in 2020, The Ringer did a ways to catch up on Survivor, or a way to get into Survivor. I think it was at the time Riley McAtee, who's still doing the podcast with Tyson. He did like a Thanos snap recommendation, which is what I followed to get back into it, because I watched Survivor as a kid, got back into it during the pandemic. So I missed all the 20s. I missed the 20s and 30s of Survivor. So I actually watched Cambodia before San Juan del Sur. And I feel like people who watched it in order felt like it was a step down. And then 2 seasons later had a massive step up. And it just unfortunately gets kind of tied in with the Worlds Apart. Fairly and unfairly, same location, similar level of people who don't really know what's going on, but one this season is much more fun than the other. So yeah, that's kind of where I would put it at. It's just that sequencing of whether people are catching up or we're watching it live. Like, there's just some stuff that makes it fall under the radar.
And Wes, I'm having Mario Alonso back tomorrow to talk about Worlds Apart, because I know that he loves the season, and I'm very frustrated because I hate the season, so I'm gonna have to like basically walk on eggshells for a lot of it.
No, just it's a full-on debate podcast.
Yeah, just turn into 2 hours of just like, why are you wrong?
Yeah.
The modern day fandom, and this is kind of killing the like what I'm going to ask at the end of it for myself, my answer. The modern day fandom hates when twists, prevent gameplay. That's one of the big qualms with 50 with a lot of people, is like all these twists kind of hindered the gameplay of the season. And the blood versus water twist inherently is the same thing, because you're basically coming into the game with a solid number 1, unless you're Sierra Easton voting in the majority. She didn't vote out her mom, she voted in the majority. Unless you're Sierra Easton coming into the game, you're coming in with a solid number 1 that, at the end of the day, people are going to try to break you apart or what have you. The blood versus water twist as a whole, no matter what you feel about the seasons, do you feel like it hinders gameplay at all? Chan, we'll start with you.
I love this theme. I think they should bring it back. I understand the sentiment. I could be swayed, but no, I think it makes it even more interesting. Like, you could have a built-in number 1, but we saw some people battling, like Baylor and Missy. Like, I have my connections, you have your connections. How do we figure out what direction to go? So I think it adds another layer of drama. I don't think that it's expected to be like, oh, they're going to turn on them. Like, I could see that hindering gameplay, but I think it just creates new complexities. The whole duos versus singles, how one tribe ended up as one of the other. It was a good thing on one and a bad thing on the other to have your duo there. So no, I just think it brings new dynamics, and I think it's a way to keep the same game Survivor is, but just create different social dynamics, which were, having a loved one there. So no, I'm pro blood versus water. I think we need to bring it back.
I'm with you. I'm just Wes.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a good poker face. I was agreeing with a lot of that, and I really do think that having that extra layer, and whether Survivor goes, blood versus water. Oh yeah, I'm reading the Gabe comment. Yeah, Aussie blood versus water might be the worst Australian season, but in American Survivor, great stuff. And I do think like that, having even that trade-off just from a TV perspective of you win and your loved one gets voted out, especially pre-swap. Like, you have to have a swap in a blood versus water season. Like that has to be the case to make it truly entertaining as it goes along. But
you have to
I feel like it makes it compelling.
That phrasing is not, but yes.
Oh, well, yeah, because blood versus water would imply one team was all blood, one is all water.
Yeah.
And let's not even get started on how they've twisted that phrase, because the blood of battle is thicker than water of birth. Like, water is
Which is-
actual blood relations, but
we're getting our collars tomorrow, so like we're not even going to talk about the themes. Christine, if you want to answer that question, then my follow-up question for you specifically is: we get exile here, we get redemption in Blood versus Water 1. Which one do you prefer? And also, just to finish off that last question I had.
I like both. I think redemption though should always end at the merge. I don't like post merge redemption. I think like that's like a really pre merge redemption makes for a really fun twist because it allows us a chance to see, because often like some really great players and characters do get voted out early, and it does give us a chance to see a little more of them. I think, you know, when they come back so late in the game, as we see in Blood versus Water and, you know, South Pacific, it runs into kind of like the edge of extinction of it all, of like someone who spent so long out of the game and so many critical rounds. I like both. I'm really a fan of Exile Island, but I do really love pre-merge Blood versus Water Redemption Island idea. I wish it would have stopped at the merge for the original Blood versus Water. But like to the theme, I think it does like constrict gameplay, but that's by design, because it's like you know, we are putting these relationships in here to complicate the gameplay. That's a feature, not a bug. And it's up to the players to decide how they navigate that. Do they work with the people they are bound with by blood, or do they betray them? You know, it puts them into more of a bind of like, okay, I have this pre-existing relationship that I have to navigate. But that's by design, and that's what makes it so interesting to see how those relationships play out, and how the pairs dynamics, or like, you know, like people who are singles, see how that all plays out. It can be really fun.
I feel like I'm more invested in the actual duos this season. Like, I'm invested more in the returnees in Blood versus Water 1. Here, I actually care about at least the majority of the duos. Like I said at the beginning of this, I feel like every duo and every individual has their own distinct personality, as compared to in Blood versus Water 1, where it's like, okay, I know Kat, she was funny in one world. I don't know who this guy is, but apparently he's king shit at Big Brother. So let's see what happens here. You know, but I wasn't invested in Hayden the first time I watched. I've become more invested in Hayden as I've watched Blood versus Water. But here it's like, oh, this is interesting. Wes and Keith are these firefighters who, you know, drop their thing and can't start a fire at their camp on night 0. We've got the firefighter and the cop and Jeremy and Val. We've got Missy, who's been divorced 3 times, and Baylor, and we're going to talk about them a little later. And we've got Johnny Rock. We got John Rocker. You know, another example of stunt casting, as the internet calls it. This is I have this, I don't know what would be the phrase. I have this stereotype when it comes to Survivor community, where I feel like the Survivor community doesn't interact with any other community I'm a part of, specifically sports. But I know that's not true. Did y'all know who John Rocker was before San Juan del Sur aired?
No, he's John Rocker from San Juan del Sur to me.
yeah, he also retired before I got super into baseball. Like, even like, because he played more when I was a kid, so like I wasn't following his career at the time.
I grew up we all watch sports growing up, and so like, oh man, that's John Rocker. Why is he here? And what's so funny about the John Rocker thing is his fake name. Unlike Gary Hogaboom Hawkins, John Rocker decides to make his fake name the name of another pitcher from the 90s who was even better than him, and says his name is John Wetland when he's clocked by Wes Nail in person. He's also clocked by Keith Nail in a confessional and clocked by Jeremy Collins in a confessional. We are one season removed from having Cliff, and they make references to Cagayan here. Are we shocked that John didn't just come in and say, hey, I'm John Rocker, former athlete?
I think he would have, maybe if he didn't have such a dark past, Like, it's not just you're an athlete, you might have money, like you are a disgrace to humanity. So you should not be touting that name. I mean, he knew coming into it, he wasn't surprised that some people recognized and like, you know, called him out for that stuff. But also I get the feeling that he didn't really do much research. I mean, maybe he did. I'm just talking. I don't know.
No,
but
he's a recruit. So I'm assuming
yeah,
that, like,
so I don't think he's like, oh, in the past, like 3 out of 5 past athletes were successful being themselves. Like, I doubt he's doing that kind of analysis, but what do I know?
came out as a landscaper. The premiere episode, we already have Jeremy crying. And Jeremy crying is one of my favorite things in Survivor history. Anytime Jeremy Collins cries, I cry with him, specifically Family Visit and Winners at War. One of my favorite episodes of all time. I know people hate it, but whatever. I love Jeremy Collins and I love his family. We get Jeremy crying very early because he sends Val to Exile Island, where she goes with Keith. She finds out he's a fireman. It's all cute. Also, the fact that on one tribe, we get Jeremy, Natalie, Wentworth, and Keith is just like in Survivor history. I think only Ogakor and Kucha can really tout, hey, we have all of these people on one tribe at the beginning of the game. All of these, well, in Ogakor's case, legends. In Kucha's case, like I always say, Kucha were the bad guys all along. It just took us 20 years to realize it. We get all of these people on the same tribe here, and it's crazy that we don't look at this tribe as one of the greatest of all time. And I have a theory on why, but I was just thoughts on the tribe breakdowns and the tribe dynamics these first couple of episodes, specifically in the premiere, but if you want to go a little bit farther in the pre-swap, pre-merge.
So
Yep.
I do think it's fun to, it's hard to talk about the pre-merge without addressing the gender imbalance, where I forget who was supposed to be in that slot.
So Kim, I'm pretty sure.
I think it was So and her sister. I've heard some other stuff where like RC. RC
was first blood versus what? Yeah.
So and her sister were supposed to be on there. So starting out with that, disparity means 5-4, and we'll get to the Drew Christie of it all later. But like coming out where it's such an imbalance, but we have a such like a stacked side with, is it Hanapu is the Jeremy Nat?
It's yeah.
Wentworth and
Hanapu is the other one.
Koyopa.
Okay. Koyopa, yeah.
But yeah, Koyopa, like you said, pound for pound, one of the most legendary like starting tribes.
Is it Hunapu?
For better and for worse.
No, Hunapu is the good tribe. Koyopa is the bad tribe. Koyopa is the bad, because in my notes I have them in the same category as something else. I'm going to get to that later. Christine, same type question, but also, so yesterday I referred to a certain player in Cagayan as Purple Jeremy. And his deep dark secret of being a model. Well, this season we get Drew Christie, who isn't trying to hide the fact that he's a model. He's gonna let that one loose. I said at the beginning of this that we have a lot of cartoon characters, and for the most part I mean that in a fun, happy way, whatever you want. What characters stood out to you in these first few episodes?
Oh gosh, okay, I need to go back and look back at everyone. I mean, I came to this season knowing Natalie and Nadia from The Amazing Race, so I was very excited to like encounter that. Like my intro to this season was the 20s are going to be on Survivor. And so I do have a soft spot for, I do want to shout out my girl Nadia, calling Josh one of the girls. She sticks out to me, La Diva. I mean, yeah, like the Drew Christie of it all. I mean, like I just feel like Natalie also just instantly pops as a character. She just immediately gets a storyline with Nadia going out first, and them having this history on the race. It's funny. Like I just feel like maybe it's because I was like filtered filtering this experience through having encountered them on The Amazing Race, but like it just Natalie's such an instant star for me. And of course, like, you know, Keith is already such a hoot. I really like Val. Like she's a fun like pre-merge character, but those are the ones that jump to mind. It has been a minute since I've sat down and watched the whole season proper. But those were so like some of those early episodes filter out. But like I mean, it's great stat cast. Yeah, thanks like for shouting out. We have Josh, Jeremy, Keith, Nadia, Natalie, Val, and Drew. Yeah, I would agree with all those. Obviously, we said Drew, Christie, and all, but yeah, thank you for also shouting out Val Collins. Love that diva.
Chan, Christine brings up the Nadia Josh thing. Now, for me, I think I forgot how much Nadia leans into it in her boot episode. Well, I guess in the premiere, because it is the boot episode. How much she leans into it. And Josh gives a confessional where it's like, if you ask Reed, he knows how much I hate when people do that. And then at Tribal, Josh or Nadia basically says, "Oh yeah, you know, he's kind of in the middle there because like blah blah blah, but also like girlfriend." And I'm like, "Oh, Nadia, shut the fuck up! What are you doing? What are you doing? It is a social game, and I don't know how Josh is reacting off camera to Nadia saying this, but I do think it's one of the. I mean, on camera, he gives his reasoning for why he votes the way he does, which is just votes for Baylor and just throws his vote. But I do think it's more of a, hey, I want to work with these people, but also I kind of don't really vibe with how the phrasing that this person is using with me. But Josh's reason on camera for voting Baylor is he's trying to be undercover to work with the men. What do you think of this strategy early on? Because Josh is shown throughout the season to be someone that is a threat, a social threat, a strategic threat. What do you think of this first move, I guess, of Josh throwing his vote on Baylor to stay uncover with the men?
Yeah, so I was wondering when this first happened, because I was like, it's not a terrible, it's a bad idea. But like, I think Baylor, knowing what we know about her now, if he would have said that to her before, I feel like she would have gotten over it and she would have been like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Because she really trusted Josh at that point. But like she said later in the season, the second he did that without warning her, he was like, she wasn't going to keep working with him. So obviously it was, you know, didn't work out. I can't remember. Was it like, it wasn't like a split situation where he's like, yeah, I'll vote Baylor.
No,
he just
one group voted for Farm Guy 69. What is his name? Dale Wentworth, and the other group voted for Nadia.
Yeah. So it wasn't a good move. I could see a world where he could flip it to be something in his favor, but we didn't see him doing that background work to make it pay off in any kind of way. He obviously he shows himself to be someone who overplays, which leads to him being the biggest threat by merge. So.
Gosh, I'm looking at the voting chart. Baylor catches so many votes pre-merge. This is something I did not remember.
Yeah.
We're gonna get to is or is not whatever. Baylor a brat, but that's a little later in this. For Christina, I guess I'll go to you with this. In the same episode, we lose our Flint. Sort of. The good John loses the Flint, and also the bad John loses to a girl in the one-on-one thing at the reward challenges this season are mostly one-on-one. And John Rocker loses to Julie, his girlfriend. And John basically says, "It sucks losing to a girl," which is the first moment of rockerisms that we're going to get in this season. One, the first negotiation of like 3 or 4 that we get this season. What did you think of the negotiations of, hey, Jeff, can we get a new Flint? And also, what did you just, knowing what happened with John Rocker outside of the show, you know, being what it is, what were your vibes on John Rocker just in a bubble in these couple of episodes that he exists?
Yeah, so I didn't know anything again like about John Rocker going in. Bad vibes immediately. He's like not not to like profile, but like really big scary man. Like I just the like yeah, like very you know, again kind of sore like big competitor, sore loser. Yeah, like I think I pretty soon like Googled who he was because they mentioned like, you know, like bass player, and then I saw that I was like, oh, okay, this is definitely gonna come up. But yeah, just like it's funny, like we like so many of the athletes there's been like definitely talk of like, you know, pro athletes not necessarily doing well on Survivor, but it's like when you look at the pro athletes they cast like very early in the show, or even at this point, they weren't casting people based on whether they would be good necessarily. And John Rucker is someone who is like absolutely not cast as someone who would be good at the game, as someone to like deliberately cause and create controversy, which is, you know, another whole other topic of, you know, why why they cast him. They did not cast him to win. It's funny to see these negotiations now that like the rice negotiation has become such a rote part of New Era Survivor. They've built it into the game. You know, Angelina pioneered it, but when you go back to the season, they tried, and they like it's fun. Like now it's so yeah, like so ritualized, but it's fun how much Jeff hates it and how much he like thinks they're losers for doing it. It's refreshing.
By the end of the pre-merge, Jeff is done. He's so done with any negotiations that are being proposed to him because he can't believe that. I mean, that the tribe that keeps on winning are the tribe that keeps trying to negotiate with him at three or four different situations. Wes, Nadia goes home, like we mentioned before, and this starts her pre-merge story arc. I think until the Jeremy vote, the first pre-merge story arc, which I compare mostly to Tyson. I know Christine said that there are a lot of parallels between 1 and 2 of Blood versus Water. This starts her Tyson story arc that leads into her Chris story arc down the line. Just pre-merge Natalie Anderson as the first-time watcher. Did you think that she had much of a chance? Did you know her Amazing Race game, and did you think that she had much of a chance once Nadia was gone?
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up the Amazing Race because I didn't watch the Amazing Race until COVID. Like I watched Survivor as a kid, did not follow the Amazing Race whatsoever. So I was coming into the season very fresh. At the same time, you know, very early she establishes herself as the John Rocker foil during, I don't know if it was the episode 2 or 3 of Reward Challenge, where he says he'd like punch her in the face or something like that. And and I was just like, I like this person. And it is, you know, I mean, that's Survivor gold. Like I'm sure the editors were thrilled that not the punching in the face, but her sister getting
don't worry. I don't think anyone took that.
But like her sister getting booted so early, like, and for her to be able to adapt her game to become an asset rather than a easy vote, I think speaks volumes. Because I mean, the story of Natalie Anderson is the story of adaptability and the story of like being a chameleon, like playing your cards when you like can and hiding the ones that you don't want to play yet. And I think her pre-game, like her pre-merge is like, it's not that she had the toughest of pre-merges because she only went once or twice.
Yeah, because she never loses. She loses once. We'll get to him.
And so like you can only give so much credit to that side, but again, she's a physical beast and like not too bad at the other aspects of challenges either. But her ability to seem like a threat but pick the right enemies, I think did a lot of wonders for her.
And you made my case for later, and we're gonna have to get to that. Chan, we get the sumo challenge for the first time since Blood versus Water 1. We skipped a season. And I definitely think, because before that we hadn't seen it since Heroes versus Villains, they definitely put this challenge in both Blood versus Waters because they're trying to evoke tears out of their competitors by putting them up against their loved ones. Specifically in this season, Missy versus Baylor. Drew and Alec are never going to cry because one's a model and they don't cry. Do you enjoy the sumo challenge? And do you think that this is, for lack of a better phrase, pandering to get a moment, to make a moment, I guess, because in the first season, in the first Blood versus Water, it's, oh, Aris and Vetus was on drugs, and Aris is this, and, you know, Laura and Sierra. No, do you think this is purposely put there to get us to emotionally relate to people and also everything else?
Absolutely. Yeah, I think it's the closest that they expect everyone to get to like fighting their loved one, because it's going to take a lot for someone to turn on their loved one, even though she wrote out her mom was like not, you know, not really that situation. So I think this is a way to be like, maybe it's them trying to even manipulate them into being like, that's your enemy. Like, don't you forget it. Like, yeah, they're your mom. They're your boyfriend, but they're your opposition. So can't be that nice to them. So even just physically pushing them off a ledge might like psychologically tell them like, shoot, I have to play for myself. Maybe, I mean, I think it's partially moments. Maybe there was a bit of that. They were like, ooh, let's mess with them a little bit. And then also it's just like a fun competition to watch. For the most part, like people love to see people beat the shit out of each other. So, you know, I think it's threefold for sure. But
this is going to be an around the horn type question, so like just kind of bear with me here, because we're gonna finish off the rocker section of this season. So starting with the one good thing-ish that John Rocker this season does is he's trying to help the brown folk, because he goes to Exile Island with Val and makes a promise, like, oh yeah, he makes a promise, hey, don't worry. Oh no, he does go to, no, he goes with Jeremy and makes a promise to take care of Val, you know, whatever. And I believe him. I was like, oh man, maybe he has changed. And it's not his fault that Val goes. It's not. John tries to save Val. And in my notes, I said, Rocker is trying to help the brown folk. Jeremy pulls a Candace. So Jeremy sees that Val is gone, and without any knowledge of anything that happened at the tribal, similar to Candace is blaming everything on Brad Culpepper based off of nothing. Jeremy says, oh yeah, the men are running the show over there, and John Rocker and this, that, and the other. And John takes the bait basically and doxes his alliance, which is basically him and Val, doxes himself for it, and that leads to Jeremy pulling another Candace move of just leaking all of John Rocker's dirty laundry, including the meme of he said a lot of racist and homosexual stuff. And that ultimately leads to Natalie being the shit stir that she is in this episode of trying to provoke John Rocker into being John Rocker. Just a great one episode story arc for a villain to inevitably get voted out of the game. What did you think of just this episode in a bubble, but just like everything surrounding John Rocker here? Because I'm gonna be honest, I did feel for him at the beginning because he was looking out for the skin folk, and by the end of it, it's like, but he also told a woman he would punch her in the face. So like, what are we really doing here? Just thoughts on this, everything surrounding this.
No one wants to start.
Oh no, Christina. I'm sorry. That was Christina. The question was for you. I'm sorry.
Oh, I thought it was around the horn. I thought it was whoever wanted to go.
Yeah, sorry. I froze. So I froze. So Christine, go.
So just the John Rocker of it all.
John Rocker of it all. And then we can be done with John Rocker after we get to Chan at the end of this.
Oh gosh. I think it's just you know, like he starts and you do want to believe you know, he's not like as bad as he is like as the rumors have it, as his headlines have it, and he definitely is going into the game with that mindset. I think too of like, it's been a minute since I watched his early episodes, but that's definitely like part of his narrative is like, there's this narrative around me, and I'm gonna go into this game. But I just view that moment with Natalie as like his true colors. To me, like how you react in anger, says a lot about you. And so I think he very much, because he did Survivor for a reason, right? Like, I don't think he's a huge super fan of the show. He doesn't need the money. I think he probably saw this as an opportunity to, launder his image, or at least have like a different narrative out there about him. So it makes sense to me that he like came to the game trying to approach it differently. But I just, that moment at the challenge, like, I think it says it all of like how he reacts when threatened and when like a woman calls him out. So I think I view this as like a failed attempt to launder his image.
Wes?
Yeah, I mean, I think Christine put it perfectly. It's like he didn't need the money, he didn't need the notoriety. He just wanted to soften his image. He wanted to prove he could do something outside of what he was famous for. And like, yeah, I'm kind of with you, Drew. Like, he on Rewatch, like, he really is trying with Val. And can we just give Val her flowers real quick? Where, one of my favorite bad lies in all of Survivor. Like, I have 2 idols. Like,
yeah, Wes. Oh, I think it was Wes. Oh, I just want to see that idol girl, and it's like, all right, dude. Whatever, Wes.
And yeah, like, yeah, he definitely, reverted to old habits, if we want to put it gently, habits or mentality. But as I don't really want to see John Rocker as a person in the real world, but I can appreciate his 3-episode arc. Like, he came in with a mission. He was moderately successful for 1/3 of the episodes. And, he didn't outstay his welcome. And that's really what we can ask for of villains.
Yes. Chan, close us out on John Rocker.
All that said needs to be said. I wrote John Rocker sucks in every single one of my episode notes. So yes. I think
John Rocker does in fact suck. He did see a lot of racist and homosexual stuff, and he doesn't outstay his welcome. Moving on to fun villains, we get Drew Christie. Drew Christie, the model. His boot episode is one of the funniest episodes of the season and probably just of all time. And it starts with him trying to trade back the flint that they have gotten from Jeff, because they have now found the flint that other, like, Good John has lost. They have found the flint, and they're going to try to trade it back with Jeff. Kelly and literally everyone else is like, this is dumb. Why would we do this? Just you handle your own business. The rest of the episode is him basically trying to target Kelly Wentworth because she is a super fan. In a season where, and I mentioned this yesterday, we're slowly starting to get out of the recruit era of the show. We are starting to have more and more legitimate fans casted on the show. So the fact that a recruit is trying to target a super fan probably was never going to work here, but specifically here because he's such a tool bag for this entire episode that he gives the confessional, I'm pretty much a badass, which is awesome because it's very similar to the Roger episodes in Amazon, where like they tell us the entire episode Roger's going home. There is no, here it's the same thing. It's like, we know Drew Christie's going home. There is no secret behind it. One, targeting someone for being a fan, fair or foul, and that's more of a if you were a player type thing, or being a super fan, I guess. The other thing is, do you guys enjoy this as much as I do, of watching Drew Christie fall in one episode? And Chan, we'll start with you.
The man throws the immunity. The only challenge that group lost, mind you.
Yes.
It's just so funny. Like, just watching his face fall and like him bringing to existence this girls alliance that does not exist until it was forced to exist. Like many times we see the accused women's alliance. And I bet he was like, oh, and he did say this. He's like, I knew it. They were coming after me. It's like, they only came after you because you pulled this shit. So you kind of forced them together. So no, it was so funny. That's what you get. And I'm not fully anti-throwing challenges. There's times where it makes sense and it's worked and it's really benefited, but like, it just shows his hubris.
Well, he's a model, so like I get it. Yeah, Purple Jeremy could never. Christine,
Remind me where the question is. Oh, it's the Drew Christie of it all. Just about the Drew Christie of it all. I mean, it's just one of the great. I love a downfall. I love someone. I love a Dolly in the middle. I love a Christy Smith. I love someone who thinks they have all the power. I mean, and this is just that to a cartoonish degree. Like it is like I cannot think of a bigger case of like. I'm sure if I thought about it a little more, you could find another overconfident guy. But just in terms of like that episode is just like pure clowning on him. The closest thing I can think of is maybe like the Rome boot in 47 in terms of like the closest we've come to just an episode dedicated to a man's downfall. But Drew Christie's happens pre-merge. Like it's so fun and just it's rare we get episodes like that are just like pure comedy, like comedic downfall of a really large character. And it helps that he's not that smart. Like, it's not like the downfall of a supervillain, the downfall of a mastermind. It's just a downfall of a guy who's got a little too big for his britches.
Well, yeah, he's strategizing in front of Kelly, saying he wants Kelly out of the game, and she's sitting there watching him do this.
The audacity.
And you're saying, "Hey, she's right there." He's like, "I don't care." It's like, "Oh, okay, cool." That as long as you know you don't like, as long as you know and you don't care, it's all good. Wes.
Yeah, I mean, best editing gag since Russell versus Sandra, who do you think we should get rid of? One of these.
One of these.
And just the fact that Drew just never really knew what was going on. Shout out to Mario Lanza because he picked up on something that I didn't necessarily pick up on my first watch or two. During that Sumo at Sea challenge, he roots for the wrong person.
And John has to be like, "Hey, we're this."
It's like, no, Reed's on our team. And like that's such a nice appetizer for his ultimate downfall. Because yes, Kelly Wentworth did turn out to be a total badass, and everything that Jeremy, I don't know where I said Jeremy, what Drew said he was, and I just really appreciate that the editors made sure the audience was in on the joke, everybody was in on the joke, and just everything he did up to that, like hitting on John's girlfriend, Jacqueline at Exile, or at least talking about hitting on her in his confessionals. I doubt he actually hit on her in the...
He does seem like the type of person that would, but...
Yeah. He's like, yeah, it's my closest ally's girlfriend. I'm totally cool to talk to her like this. And yeah, they just tee it up over multiple episodes, and we don't get enough of that where somebody just like we don't always need it to be suspenseful who goes. We just need to be happy about who's going.
It's all good. Yeah, and then by comparison, we get the in Game Changers in a few days where it's like, hey, Michaela's gone for reasons, because we don't tell you anything. We're just going to tell you, yeah, Michaela's gone, and you're just going to have to deal with the fact that she's gone now. Same thing with Andrea Belke. I think the episode before that.
And we have the swap.
we have the swap, and once again, our favorite tribe have to make another negotiation. This time, they want to trade. They want to do their they found their club, but they want to trade stuff to get more rice because they have eaten all the rice at this point. And Jeff makes the Oh, this is probably why you guys are winning all the challenges, because you're eating double portions of all of your food. Same episode, we lose Kelly Wentworth. Kelly Wentworth goes home before Dale, which I forgot. I thought it went Dale, then Kelly. We lose Kelly Wentworth. I think of the second chances, cast, is she the earliest? I feel like it's either her or Kimmy Kappenberg. But I think
They're both fifth boots, but like Kimmy's just better because they had fewer people.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Christine, did you see in this season why Survivor even put her on the ballot in the first place?
I see it in like the confessionals. Like I think she's already like such like a good narrator and like a fun character. She doesn't get a massive edit. I was looking back at her confessional count. She's, just by that number. I see it in the sense of potential. Like I think it's like, but there are so many Kelly Wentworths in the history of Survivor. You look at like women, especially like young women who get voted out early on, who like probably like could have done a lot more if they had stuck around. So it's like you see it, but it's like it's also hard because I did not watch the season live, so I can't speak to like the unfiltered Kelly Wentworth experience. I did watch this before I watched Cambodia, but I knew she was on Cambodia and I knew she was like a big figure. So it's also hard for me to like comment on that because I feel like anyone who's watching San Juan del Sur, knowing who Kelly Wentworth is going to be like seeing it through like Cambodia colored glasses of like this legend. So it's like trying to be objective. I definitely see it in terms of in terms of character, but it's on the like in terms of like potential for great gameplay. It's hard for me to comment on that because we know what comes.
And Drew Christie he clocks it before all of us.
Yeah, he knew. Maybe he recommended she be cast. She'd be on the ballot.
I feel like for me, she was kind of when Second Chances came out, she was kind of in the same category as like a Monica Padilla of, oh, okay, that's interesting, because I wasn't following RHAP at the time, so I didn't know that like Kelly was like putting on the show to get casted. But whenever I do this marathon, I always try to look at reasons in people's first seasons why they are eventually brought back. And like with Monica and Samoa, it's her 2-episode story arc where she's basically provoking Russell, and it's fun to watch her provoke Russell because Russell Hanson is a piece of shit. Here, it's fun watching like her watch Drew Christie try to get her out. It's fun watching her see Drew Christie clock her as a super fan who could potentially run the game. And it, as much as it sucks, with the benefit of hindsight, it sucks. It's fun watching her be voted out here because she actually is a threat because of what we know later. The Kelly Wentworth boot is one of those times where when you watch it again, it's like, yes, smart move, y'all. This is one of the only smart moves that the rest of the cast makes this season, and getting rid of someone that could have taken control of the game, the next round and beyond. Chan, for you, are you a Kelly Wentworth person? And once again, just like, did you see moments in this season of, I think I get it. I understand why she has been brought back twice.
So I actually wrote this in my notes. I go, why was Kelly brought back? I liked her and Ovs like her now even more, but what happened in real time? Was she a fan favorite? I didn't see it. I thought she was perfectly fine, and I am a fan of her now, was a fan of her in later seasons, but I don't think she played any differently from what Christine said, of a perfectly nice young woman who got sniffed out as a threat. I could probably think for a second and name 5 others who were like that and haven't been brought back. So, I think she was fine. But yeah, if she never came back, I wouldn't have been broken up about it if I was watching her time, I think, unless we're missing something that happened live. But a fan of her now.
This is another around the horn question, and we'll start with Wes here. So Koyopa, the bad tribe of the two, Koyopa, their legacy is not the same as like a Fong, an Oolong, or a Matsing. even though they're pretty much in the same category of the Fong, Oolong, and Metzing tribes. Why do you think that they haven't fallen to like people don't look at Koyopa the same way they look at these three, even though they do not win challenges except for the one time that a challenge is thrown. And on the other end of that, Unapu wins basically all of their challenges except for the one that is thrown, but they're not looked at as one of the all-time greatest tribes. Why do you think that is?
I think the biggest thing is just the overall, like I don't, bias is a strong word, but just there's so many big seasons that drew more eyes, both live and on rewatch, that it's hard to, get certainly casuals, but even some like super fans to agree that, oh, this was a really fun season and the pre-merge was insanely like kind of flopping, especially for Koyopa. Like I'm looking at like the charts and stuff right now, and I think one of the things that hamstrings it is like if we think about Matsing and Oolong, there was no swap to bail those tribes out. So like I think the swap versus no swap, even though the swap tribe was also trash, that like mitigates some of the flopness, to make up a word.
Christine?
Yeah, I think it has to do with like I think that ultimately doesn't factor into the narrative of the post merge as much as you think of like a Mat Singh or an Oolong, like that it has such a lasting impact on the whole game, and of like in the Palau situation of Stephanie Tribal 1, and then the whole end game. So Karor, and then with the Mat Singh of it all, like Denise and Malcolm, the last two, they make it to the end, and I just feel like the merge of this season is so not defined by that outcome of like the disaster tribe, that it's like, yeah, you look at I this was funny, like when I was looking at the voting chart just to kind of refresh my memory on this early game, I was like, oh, they cannot win a challenge, like they really go over and over again. And I think it's because it's not a narrative in the post merge. The post merge is so much more defined by these relationships and these blind sides. I think the blood versus water theme helps that like kind of not be as big of an impact, because there's so much more to talk about, and the gameplay is so directed by those relationships and those blind sides.
And so, Chan, to kind of change the question there, I see Hunapu, even though they win every immunity challenge except for the one that Drew Christie throws, I see them similar to Tandang in Philippines, where we have this dumpster fire tribe that just can't lose, and we want to see them lose just to see what happens, and it doesn't happen. Anapu, they're doing their thing, and please someone like correct, because I feel like I'm right in saying Anapu is the tribe that's winning all the challenges, right? I'm not making this up, right? Okay, cool. Anapu's winning all the challenges, but they're still the train wreck tribe of the season. They are the Kasaya of the season. They are the shit. They're the villains tribe of the season. Why doesn't Unapu come out as like when people look at all-time great tribes or even all-time chaotic tribes? If you want to bring up Kasaya and you want to bring up Tendang, they're looked at as the chaotic. Unapu just kind of falls in this category of, oh yeah, that was them too, to the point where I'm sitting here watching the season today and I can't remember which tribe is which as far as names.
Yeah, I think it just ends up being the key players here and the biggest characters weren't from that tribe. Like, you could name a couple, definitely, but the main people we're looking at are Natalie. John came from the Blue Tribe. He was the later like a lot of the narrative in post merge ended up being around players from the tribe that is still in existence for the most part. So I just think there are other storylines to run than good tribe versus bad tribe.
Through 29 days, there are things that kind of, so in the past, the first two times I've done this, It's been Rupert fatigue. It's been Candace fatigue. It's been like things like that. Russell, the Hanses fatigue, and oh hey, we're gonna cast a bunch of shitty people fatigue. This time around, I'm really just starting to catch on to things that the show does that just annoy me just because of how I'm watching it. And one of the things, and this is, I'm probably the only person that actually feels like this. I hate when Jeff shows the immunity necklace and everyone applauds it. It's like, why are you applauding? Gives a shit. But that's just me watching Survivor for 29 straight days. But we get to the merge, and we get our first big rivalry of the merge of Jeremy versus Josh, the two people on the season that seemed like they're the only ones that actually understand what's going on. And amazingly, they get to skip through one because Julie McGee, among other things, steals the Chex Mix. I think it was Chex Mix. Trail Mix. Yeah.
Trail Mix.
Trail Mix. Is sad that her boy John Rocker is gone. The tarp has been taken away from her 2 episodes beforehand, so she's been rained on the last couple of days, and she's just done with the game. I brought this. This is my new thing that I started yesterday. Let's say the best reason to quit is Purple Kelly because Survivor hates women and doesn't let her have clothes in Nicaragua, and the worst reason is quitting because you want Zens. Where does Julie's quit kind of fall? Anyone can answer.
I don't know where it falls, but this quit for me feels like that clip from America's Next Top Model where that girl walks in. She's like, I just don't think this is good for me. Like, I can't take the pressure of it. And she just like walks away. It's like such like a nonchalant quit, like to me. Like, I don't even remember the scene where it happens, but I don't know where it ranks, but that is like the spirit of this quit to me, is the girl just being like, I don't think this is good for me.
Wes?
Yeah, I mean, if we're quoting memes, it's very much, oh no. Anyways, but like, I would say that it does serve the season well because it hypes up. It's one of the few quits that truly hypes up the next episode. So we can, I guess, thank Julie in some sense for that. But in a vacuum, her quit I would rate as pretty low, like, purpose behind it. Like, I would even rank it below like Lindsay from the season before, because quitting because you might punch someone in the face.
I forgot about
Lindsay was going to kill Trish. She was going to kill Trish. Her and her white woman dreads were going to kill Trish.
Yeah. So even this one, I'm just like, hey, like, that's still below that one.
Okay.
Jan?
I don't have much to add. She was kind of a nothing burger. I mean, I don't blame her for stealing the trail mix. I'd do the same. Trail mix is fantastic. But yeah.
It's the confession of like, oh yeah, I kind of took it because everyone else had kind of eaten and everything, and now I don't want to tell everyone that I have it because they're all going to hate me. So I understood her rationale. And yes, you were right. Like, she was more of a nothing burger. This is actually the 3rd season in a row where we have a quit. I don't think that we've ever had this long of a period where we have this many quits in a row, starting with Blood versus Water with Colton. And then we have Lindsay last season basically quitting because she wants to kill Trish. And here she really misses John Rocker. And we've all been there, right? We miss talking about John Rocker from 15, 20 minutes ago. So the storyline of Jeremy versus Josh continues until the next episode. And I don't remember who brought it up, but we inevitably lose both of them back to back. I feel like the 2 odds-on favorites to win the season based off how the edit is going and based off of what we are seeing on the show, both of them both of them go back to back, and this is where the Natalie Anderson, Chris Doherty storyline begins. Once Jeremy goes out and Natalie realizes, hey, I hate all of these people, and I'm gonna make sure that all of them turn on each other between now and the end of the game. And it was so fun to watch today specifically because it's just like because it's almost a better version of Chris because she's not catching votes ever. She doesn't catch a vote the entire season. And even if and we'll get to Final Four a little later, but Christine, just thoughts on you don't have to go into crazy specifics because we're going to talk about a few of the things here, but just Natalie Anderson as a game player. Thoughts on her?
I mean, I think it helps that she's really smart, but I also think it helps that she had this. I don't know how much her Amazing Race reputation was known among the people on this cast, but when you watch her on the Amazing Race, you see she's smart. Like the 20s, like pioneered a use of the W turn. I can't remember the exact logistics of it, but my Amazing Race brain's a little rusty. But they are like pretty strategic players. But the takeaway from that season, of their seasons of the Amazing Race, are not that these are like cool, level-headed, overly strategic people. They're known for like yelling at each other and being a little catty, and that's why I love them. They're one of my favorite teams. They're great. And so I think that definitely helps. And because like Natalie like kind of like threw down with John Rocker, I have to imagine that helped the perception of her later on in terms of people like underestimating her, because clearly no one was like scared of her in the sense of like a big strategic threat to win, because like you said, she does not get a single vote cast against her. But I think she also benefits of just like, like I think she positions herself well when these different targets are going after each other. Like that's something you just kind of like, you need to take sides on, but not like overly like it's not like quite playing the middle, but like when there's these big targets going after each other, you just kind of have to like I think she goes with the flow pretty well, and builds the relationship she needs, without like getting like, again, overly grouped with anyone. It's hard to explain, like, but she really benefits from the way this merge shook out in terms of how the power shifts, and she's like had just good enough relationships with everyone on the different sides to where she's able to kind of like hold her ground as everything's falling apart.
Wes, just picking up on that, anything you want to say going off of that? Also, Natalie finds she finds Chekhov's gun, basically, because the idol that she finds the episode after Jeremy goes home doesn't really come into play until the finale. I think it's the finale that she actually plays it. So just Natalie find this idol. Do you, as someone who talked Vanuatu with me, I know you brought it up earlier, but like, is this as close to Chris Doherty as we're going to get, or do you find someone else? And just what are your thoughts on Natalie's game from Merge on?
Yeah, so I mean, even as a Chris Doherty fan, Natalie's easily like I would rate her higher. Oh, sorry,
Go ahead.
It's hot outside. I've got windows open. I'm near Main Street. Yeah, she perfected the Chris Doherty play from the bottom game. And I don't know if I want to call it a luxury, because she definitely was playing with her back against the wall. But one thing that she had that Chris Doherty didn't have was people who believed that she was on their side from even when they blindsided her closest ally. Like thinking about when she tells John to play his idol, and thinking about when she was ready to, make her move. She was so good at planning things out. Like I think Chris was the consummate bullshitter and could just make things up on the fly. Natalie planned things out, but also still could adapt. Like she definitely had more foresight than Chris did, and that's why I rank her slightly higher.
Okay, and then Chan.
Yeah, the thing that Natalie had that even a lot of people on her own cast didn't is she was respected by everybody. Missy, Baylor, there were times Jacqueline, like these people weren't respected. It was, you are riding coattails, or you are a brat, or you are XYZ. So even the guys at the beginning, even like the most like chauvinistic guys in the cast, were Natalie. You never have to ask Natalie to work, or like Natalie's always going to pull her weight in challenges. She was the You know, she was good in challenges. She helped out. So I think that left the door open for her, because if there's no personality, if you don't dislike her personality, and she always kept the door open. It was never, I'm not going to work with Baylor because I hate her. Like, she never gave anyone the opportunity because she was well liked. So well liked, well respected. Good at timing her moves. Never disregarded relationships. She got to get back in with Keith later and some of these other folks because she never did anything like that bad to them. So she peaked at the right times, made big moves, which this jury liked, especially
oh man, yeah. Well, we'll get to that.
Yeah, and especially because there were a lot of recruits. I think they got excited when they saw the flashy stuff, and then by the time people realized that it was too late and she positioned herself too well next to other threats, that they couldn't keep her out.
My bias with Natalie Anderson, outside of what she does in the show, is, today was the first day that I thought about it. I'm like, why do I think this? I've never actually, I can't remember where I read it from, but as a person that's been playing rugby for 20 years, who's been coaching rugby for 12 years, Natalie Anderson is a rugby player, right? This is not made up, right? Can anybody confirm this?
I'll do this.
She's CrossFit, but I don't know any about, and that's why she's so jacked.
Yes, Natalie played rugby at Fordham.
Awesome.
Okay, all right. Okay, thank God. All right, so my bias towards Natalie Anderson has always come from, she was a rugby player, and she's not Andrew Savage, who is another rugby player who I just don't vibe with. I like Natalie, and so I'm glad I'm glad that we're all Natalie fans here, even inside the realms of the game. This is a fun question, real quick, just spitfire. Chan, how many nuggets can you eat in 5 minutes?
5 minutes? I could probably house
Spitfire, you gotta go. You say
20,
how many
25.
25. Wes?
I don't think I can live up to my namesake, but I think I could do 40, 45.
Okay. Christine?
So what was the time frame again? How many minutes? I need to just...
How many 5 minutes can you have?
Minutes?
How many? Yeah.
Nuggets in 5 minutes? I would say 30.
Oh, I'm losing, wow. I guess. Shit.
Yeah. I think my number is 20. But I'm counting McDonald's chicken nuggets. I think.
It depends on the size.
Yeah,
I think it was the Chick-fil-A little nuggets.
Yeah.
And I can do 8 of those per minute, I think. And in 5 minutes, I could probably do 40. I've never tested it. I'm not a big Chick-fil-A guy, but proportionally, especially if I was back in college, I could absolutely.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah. Back in college, yeah, of course.
But even now, I could do
35-year-old male. I'm not.
I think I could still do 40 if I really wanted to.
Yeah, if I was in need immunity and I'm going home and final win it, I will eat those damn chicken nuggets. I am not chewing. I'm just swallowing. I'm stacking. I'm drinking water. But no.
We get to the stick to the plan moment. One of the, I think it was Christine that brought up all the funny moments that actually happened during this season. And we've touched on a lot of them. Stick to the plan, I feel like, is probably the funniest, at least for me, because it's Keith. And he's just this adorable guy from Louisiana who doesn't understand anything, and his little chuckle after he says stick to the plan is just cherry on top of everything. But Reed's plan is overly convoluted also. Reed is really trying to force the big move, and I brought this up during Blood versus Water, where that was the season that kind of ended the first portion of Survivor, and every other season after that it's big moves, big moves, big moves, big moves. Reed in this situation is just trying to do a lot, and it ultimately bites him in the ass, not by him getting voted out, by losing someone that he didn't want to go. Chan, is Reed's plan always doomed to fail? And also, if you were to just in your head, off the top of your head, rank just funny moments in Survivor history, where does stick to the plan kind of go for you? Just top 5, 10, is number 1, all of that.
It's just so fun. I say stick to the plan, and you see Reed go, his face fully dry. He knows he's cooked. Everyone looking around. It's so good. It's so good. I don't think the plan was that bad. It was like a minority vote split. Like we've seen those be successful. He just, and they learned later how they have to talk to Keith and be like, don't do this, say this, you're bad at tribal council. But I mean, it would have worked. Like, didn't they change their plan because of that? Like John got sus and then they were, so I
well,
think
and then Natalie says, hey, play your idol.
okay,
like,
yeah. So maybe it wasn't, I mean, I think he had to do what he had to do. Like it was the people stayed loyal to him. Like those people voted with him. It was just the idol. So I don't think it was that far-fetched of a plan when you're in the position that you are. Him absolutely looking through Keith's bag and then telling everybody about it, like that did get people to his side, but maybe he could have played it safe, I guess, and joined that vote split, but he was trying to play for longevity, and I respect that. But yeah, very, very funny moment. Just watching it play out, but many funny moments by Keith.
John, so Natalie basically outs herself by telling John to play his idol. Keith gives Wes Keith asks Wes who he should play his idol on. He plays it on himself. Wes ends up going to the house. For anyone that has seen Cambodia recently, Wes goes to the house afterwards, and we get to where the cast breaks touchy subjects and the most non-touchy subjects challenge ever, because none of these questions are even remotely All-Stars-esque. Wes, do you miss this challenge? And also, do you get why Jeff is so annoyed with these people for basically trying to give it to Missy?
I'm annoyed with these people. Like it's I 100% agree with Jeff where like why continue this? Like it's a Survivor staple, because up until this point it was, you know, a foundational thing to show cracks, to show like how the rest of the game could play out. And like just I don't know, it's just bad gameplay to like try to finesse this sort of thing. And like I feel like it kind of carries on the back of the vote before, because like with Reed, a fake fight turned into a real fight, not real fight, but like a real misunderstanding, which led to the double idol play. And then this one was being too nice to the point where nothing actually got accomplished, and it ruined like so much of like the reward challenges for, you know, the next 15 years of Survivor. My math's off, but yeah.
10, because it's 2014, I believe. So yeah, it might be 24. It might be 2013. Either way, like just the next however many years of Survivor. Yeah, I don't think we get this challenge back, and I'll find out tomorrow if that's actually true. I don't think we ever get this challenge back, and I think it's because they just sit there and basically say, "Hey, we're going to throw this for Missy after we get rid of Alec, Reed, and Keith." It's like, oh yeah, who do I chop next? It's like, why are we doing? Just do it anyway, Christine. So the same challenge is where we get the Reed calls Baylor a brat moment. In the bubble of just San Juan del Sur, just the episodes, not knowing anything you possibly know about her outside of the show, you get brat vibes from Baylor this season.
I remember liking Baylor, like finding her like not love, I like loving her. I didn't like dislike her, but I it's more like the Missy Baylor dynamic where that comes out. Like I remember like being, I think towards the end, like not liking Baylor as much. I found her to be kind of like an enjoyable character, but I think it's more like it'd be interesting to see like what the perception of Baylor would have been if her mom wasn't there. Like because they clearly have a particular dynamic, and Missy is definitely a lot less liked than Baylor, like among her cast. And I just think the two of them, they get like a little like I was gonna say clicky, like their mother and daughter, like there's obviously going to be this like dynamic, but like I think their way of communicating with each other and like talking about other people like really, yeah, it it does not play well. And it's just funny, like how many players, like how many you think about like how many Survivor players if they had played with like their mom, like would or like as someone else, like that dynamic like of like someone they're very close with, how that would have like revealed different aspects of their character. So yeah, my takeaway from this is like I remember like liking Baylor on her own, and then yeah, as that dynamic settles in, you're definitely not rooting for them by the end for sure.
Shanna, I'm gonna get you in a second. I would say, like, so when I did Blood versus Water, I said this is the season of the MILF because of Laura Moret, Tina, Monica Culpepper. You know that just I loved all three of them. You know, and here, if I were to say who my crush was this season, it probably is Missy, which is wild, but like whatever.
You're gonna say Baylor.
It is Missy, and it has been since I was in my early 20s when the season aired, and as a 35-year-old male, it is still Missy. But having said that, do you think that Baylor was being a brat in this season?
I don't think they showed a lot of the moments that would lead us to see why Missy and Baylor were so disliked. You could tell she's younger. She's the youngest in the cast by far. I think 2 years older maybe is the closest. And no one liked Alec either. If it was Alec, I think so, but I'm not sure. I think it just
Alec's a moron, so
yeah. I think so it's easy to look down on somebody, especially being with their mom, who's clearly like spoils them a little bit. But I think, and I like looked this up after because I was like watching this, like even Missy didn't seem that bad. Like, yeah, there were times where she was a little bit domineering or whatever, but like people seemed to like her still. She always had ally options. So I think they just didn't show that for whatever reason. So I didn't look at her and say, oh my God, what a brat. But I see the argument, and I think there's more that was on the cutting room floor about them.
Baylor and Missy are fun for me because I've watched this season. I think today is my 5th time watching. And I almost every single time I've watched it, I've like flip-flopped on how I feel about them as far as the show is concerned. Missy being the crush and all that, but like just how I feel about them as far as the game is concerned. And today, Missy was fine. Like she was fine to me. Baylor, it did feel like, okay, I'm kind of annoyed with this, that, and the other, but it never. Once again, it wasn't bratty. It was just like, okay, I'm annoyed with you. I get annoyed with shit. I get annoyed with Sari the round that she decided to keep Coach in 50, like that. And I love Sari. Like I get annoyed with players sometimes, but I never got bratty vibes. And I wonder if this is one of those cutting room floor things of, we're just not going to show you why these people hate this duo specifically so much. Natalie forgets to vote for the right person during the split vote episode. One of the many moments that Natalie just kind of just playing with her food. Natalie's basically playing with food once Jeremy goes. She's just doing whatever she wants because she knows that no one's going to clock her. For me, this is one of the craziest moves that's ever happened with her voting for Alec here, because in almost any other situation, people would not buy her saying, oh, I forgot who I was supposed to vote for. Thoughts on this, for me, the Natalie Anderson move that's not what we're going to get at Final Six?
Yeah, so I think this ties in, bear with me, to the previous move. So many people this season had main character mentality where, especially, I do think Missy and Baylor put themselves in, like, and John, those three in particular, saw themselves as the main character of the season. Like, everybody has that a little bit. Like, you need to believe that a little bit to win. But this season absolutely had people like John, Missy, to a lesser extent Baylor, definitely Reed, people who saw themselves as the main character of the story. And I think that's why, like, Reed had that feud with Missy. Was, I don't think, to just go back to that previous thing, I think Missy and Baylor were very bad about playing from the top. They voted correctly almost every time, or at least in the split vote, and they made it clear who was on the bottom. And I think that poor gameplay was why Reed hated them so much and had that. And to that extent, it's also why I think Natalie gets away with this great playing dumb move, because everybody, especially her big three allies, John, Missy, Baylor, they believed that she would screw up because they were just like, oh, I'm running this. I can't believe I trusted her to do this. Whatever, I'll still recover from this. So I think that 1-2 punch of, like, I think that's, you know, like you were saying, this is kind of like a step up from Total Drama Island. Everybody thinks they're the main character. That's what Natalie clocks and what she's able to manipulate.
Missy gets hurt. And this is the same episode that Natalie's playing a better, because of what happens at the end of the game, Natalie's playing a better version of the Rob Cesternino game of, I'm just going to hop back and forth. These people aren't going to clock me. I'm just going to do whatever I want and, you know, hop back and forth between alliances, and I'm going to get away scot-free. And so she flips again, and John goes home because she's on this Chris Doherty revenge tour. I'm going to get rid of all of you. This big alliance, I got rid of Jeremy. I'm going to get rid of all of you, even though they broke off the next round. I'm going to make sure that every single one of you are embarrassed as you go out the door. Because John, I believe, gets voted out with an idol in his pocket at this point. So she gets rid of John. Chan, for you, as you were rewatching this time, are you shocked that it is this easy for her? Because like for me today, watching is like, wow, this is probably the, like when people say, oh, this person is kind of steamrolled. This is not even a steamroll. Like, oh, she's just having a good old time. I still think Kim Spradlin probably is better, whatever better means. But Natalie's, her back is never against the wall here.
I think she set herself up so that it looks easy in the end, because she perfectly in the pre-merge laid low, did her chores, was great in challenges, earned that respect, let others like Jeremy emerge as main characters and threats in front of her. And then she was doing small things like giving up her reward, which became a trend. Doing, like, going out of her way to show with actions that she was there with her tribe, so with her alliance, so that when it came to running those moves, like pretending, you know, the Alec vote, she had plausible deniability. Like, I was with you guys, we just didn't get to talk that much. Sorry, it got scrambly. And they bleached her because all the past things she had done to show she's a loyal ally. So I think it looked easy because she made it easier for herself by setting the groundwork early on. There was like one other thing that I noted down that she did that made her like telling John to play the idol. That was an action shown that she was with them. She did not have to do that. And John could have gone home like she's been wanting him to go home, but she didn't know it wasn't the right time. Flush 2 idols, like that could have dampened her in the future. Like those are wild cards. So she got rid of those in that move. Like, yeah, she did a lot of things to set herself up and made it look easy, clean.
Christine, we get to probably the most memorable, iconic, whatever moment of the entire season. Jacqueline, did you vote for who I told you to vote for? And in this moment, once again, she just flips once again, like back to the side that she had just turned on the round before to save Jacqueline here. Because once again, she's just going after anyone that was even remotely involved. If Jeremy like, I know she gets confessionals, was like, oh yeah, it's because I think I can do better with this person or this person. It's like, no, you're doing this because you hate all these people, and I get it. Let the hate flow through you. We get her playing her idol for Jacqueline because she's told Jacqueline, hey, I need you to vote for Baylor, this, that, and the other. In the annals, I'm pretty sure that's the word, of moves that Survivor winners have done, like memorable. Where is this for you? Like just this moment. Where is this for you?
I mean, this is up there for me as one of the most memorable. I do want to just go back to the Alec vote. I think that is the one of, if not the single greatest, like, low-key move a winner has ever done. I think like that, like, not to go, I'll go back to the Jacqueline thing, but like the pretending to have voted incorrectly is so brilliant, and she plays it off so well. And it is a moment that is something I have in my org career have done, like intentionally with and it is so great, because it makes people think you're out of touch. It makes people think you're kind of like clueless. It's just such great. That just gets to her positioning again. Like that is like such a brilliant move to keep herself in that middle position. Like she was the swing, and no one was like that upset at her because they felt like she just kind of like messed it up. But the Jacqueline did you vote for? I told you to vote for. I think something that's people miss a lot of times is the potential for tribal council to be theater. I think people think about like, playing to the jury. But this is just a moment that like she does that without it being like over the top, without it. I don't think she was really playing to the jury, but it's a moment that plays so well to the jury because it is a TV moment. It is like theatrical. It is like the suspense and the dramatic irony of she knows who she told Jacqueline to vote for. Jacqueline knows who she voted for. The jury doesn't know. And like we know that like by virtue of her doing this, that like a big move has occurred, not like capital M big move, but like a genuine like something. It signals something major is happening here. And I can think of very few instances in Survivor where someone has done something like this, and it's not corny. It is like genuinely like powerful and like tells like so much to the jury, and like this like what it does to Missy and Baylor. They know one of them is going, and with the jury hating Missy and Baylor, like knowing that one of them is going to go and we're going to find out which one, like all elements of it play so well theatrically. And like that I think is just, I can't think of anyone who's accomplished something like this and had it like work to this effect. I think it's just brilliant.
Watching it today, and I'm glad you brought up the point of like people trying to play to the camera, play to the jury. I don't hate Rick Devens like a lot of people did before 50. I feel like most people kind of come around to him now. But like one of the big things was, he's one of Jeff's boys, so we have to hate him because we have to hate everything that Jeff likes. The other thing was, in Edge of Extinction, like it felt like he was playing a lot to the camera, and I think the prime example is he gets the menu that Ron Clark, Matthew Perry gives to him when he gets back into the game. Can't remember. And he gives this whole song and dance like, you're trying to embarrass me in front of my kids, you're trying to make me look stupid, blah blah blah, and that did feel forced. It felt forced to the point where it's like, okay, I like this guy, but just shut the fuck up and just sit back down so we can get through this tribal. With Natalie here, it just felt like, hey, I'm just trying to double check with you real quick, fam. Like you did what I asked you to, because if you didn't, I'm just not gonna do this. I'll play it for myself, and we'll go on to the next round. Because it doesn't feel, it never, and this is my ignorance of not watching Amazing Race the 2 times they played it. But never during this season, I feel like Natalie was doing anything for the audience. And I like you two specifically. I don't know if Chan had brought up if you have seen her play Amazing Race, but I know that you two of you down here have brought it up at least once. I don't know if Natalie has like, was that her MO when she played Amazing Race?
They're just big characters. Like Natalie and Nadia, when they're together, they are just TV gold. Like that's why it's so unfortunate we didn't get to see that, but it's for the best for Natalie. They were not together because they bring out the worst in each other and the most hilarious in each other. I think the race is a different television product. There's a lot, like the camera is so obtrusive in a way that the camera in Survivor is not. There's, and you talk to the camera like as you're doing tasks, as you're doing U-turns and stuff. I don't think it's so much that they were the kind of people to like play up for the cameras. I just think they were big in the way that they are. And I don't think Natalie was coming into this like playing for the camera. I don't think that moment, what you said of like the difference in that between like her and Ed Evans, it's like she's playing it for the jury in a way, and like the camera just happens to be there. Yeah.
Wes, and I guess we'll make this an around the horn question, but Wes, we'll start with you. I guess this is a hot take. It might not be. You guys will correct me as we go through it. I prefer this moment over both Parvati and Kelly Wentworth's idol plays during their big idol plays during their seasons. Because one, it's that close to the end of the game, and also just I just feel like it's more epic because she's standing up and handing it off and saying, "Hey, I am in control. Did you do what I told you to do?" And the other two, it's what, Jeff, blah 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 blah. And I love both of them. I'm not shitting on either one of them for that moment because those are both top 10 moments for me. Wes, where is this for you?
Yeah, I have to put it number 2 out of those 3, because I think because Natalie and Parv both, they were playing it for somebody else, so that automatically raises it for me. Like Wentworth, again, give her flowers. That was still one of the best self-idol plays of all time, if not the best. But like Natalie and Parv get points because they were both at risk, but Natalie wasn't in the same danger that Parv was. So I would put Parv's, one, because it was a double, one that she had, and she also blindsided an ally with that, which riskier move. But I think in terms of endgame, definitely the best endgame idol play. But I think if we're just ranking those 3, I put it just marginally below Parv's.
No, I won't hate it. This is one thing I want to point out during final. So we lose Baylor there, and then we get to the final 4, and the only thing I really want to bring up during the final 4 immunity challenges, it's not funny. It's funny now because we know that she's all right. But Jacqueline eats shit coming down the pole.
This is crazy. This is one of the scariest like falls I've ever seen on Survivor. I forgot about this. It is so scary.
It's so scary. And like Jeff's like, should we call medical? And she's like, no, I'm good. She goes down the slide. She ends up winning the challenge. So like, and I think that's why it is funny, because she is all right. Like, I don't laugh at Russell Swan dying during Samoa or like any of that. It's just, I think the reason I can laugh at this is because she ends up being fine, gets down the side, comes back, pulls the flag down and all of that. But I just want to say, I haven't laughed this hard in a few weeks when it comes to something Survivor-wise than her falling down that pole, knowing that she's going to be all right. I've never laughed at that scene before, ever. But today was like, this is so funny. But so in my notes I have Jacqueline eating shit during final immunity, but she's all right. I talked about yesterday how Tony is able to convince Wu, hey, Cass has got to go. And we kind of get that here because Natalie, this is the only situation where Natalie could potentially catch votes at a final 4, and she doesn't, because I think she does a really good job of painting. I think her and Keith and Missy all do good jobs of painting targets on each other, but she does better job because it's only Missy and Keith that catch the votes at the end. And jumping ahead a little bit, Natalie says during Final Tribal, I think the best thing to ever happen for me was Keith getting voted out last night. Christine, I don't put Jacqueline in the same category as Wu. Like, this is not costing her the game or anything. Do you see a world, I guess, I try to avoid what ifs, but this is a what if situation. Do you see a world where if Keith stays, things work out better for Jacqueline or even Missy, but probably not? Do you think where something works out for Jacqueline?
I think Jacqueline was always in a tough winning position here at this point. She had a couple votes, was always going to have a couple votes locked in at the final tribal. I do feel like, you could split hairs about which one would have been slightly better for her. We see the scenario where Natalie wins, so that's the scenario we have. There's a lot of talk about, Keith being a huge threat to win. I do think Keith would have been easier to be against at final tribal in terms of like the actual discussion. And I feel like that would have been it would have been easier to out talk Keith. But yeah, I would as Gabe Ruiz said, I think Keith had a lot more votes locked up going in, and it's a question of whether final tribal performance would have mattered. And so I think it made, at a certain point when you're put in that position, when you're no, okay, I've got an uphill battle either way. It's kind of better to go with what feels like a competitive final tribal council that would be more about the arguments rather than someone who's got the guys locked up. And as we saw, it's a closer vote than one might think, based on how dominant Natalie is considered as a winner. I mean, the One World's a similar situation. We talk about how dominant Kim is. It is not a unanimous vote, and so I think she ultimately made the right choice in terms of when you think about who jurors were definitely leaning towards going in. Natalie definitely because her game was a little obfuscated with she had to kind of lay that out more at final tribal. That's dangerous because you have to out talk that, but she had fewer people locked up going in. I think she had her supporters, but it was tough shot either way, but I think Jacqueline made the right call.
Just briefly, Alec faced during his entire stint on the jury. Hilarious. We don't have to talk about it. It's just that he just looks.
He always looked like that the entire season.
The entire season, Alec just looked like whatever you want to use, whatever word you want to use there. That's what Alec looked like for the entire season. I'm glad we got him over Drew, who's a model. I don't know if you guys remember that, but so Drew's gone. Alec. We have Alec face. I enjoyed this final three as a whole. It doesn't seem like the jury does, but I all three of them. I felt like their stories got told throughout the season. I didn't feel like any of the three of them got buried in the edit. We have to use our imagination to figure out everything, with the exception of why people hate Missy. I feel like we got a proper story arc for all three of them of why they are here. Just talking about when Missy got hurt, the fact that she didn't quit, the fact that she knew that she couldn't do any challenges and still gets to the end. And I don't feel like it was a carry either. I don't feel like she was carried to the end. I feel like she still did what she had to do to get there. As a whole, just this final three, and I feel like there are a couple that are better for me, but Chan, do you feel like this final three, withstands the test of time of wow, this is good shit, pal, from Natalie to Missy as far as
Yeah, I'm so happy I get to answer this because I had made notes of this. I'm I think all three played really well. On paper, obviously Missy had her social blood, didn't they really like her, that stuff. But strategically, she was good. She knew what was going on. She was oh, I'll have to go talk to that person, convince them of this plan. She was doing work out there to get people on her side, and it worked for the most part. And they did the poll in the reunion that she would have had at least 3 locked votes going into final tribal if Natalie wasn't there. So she had a real case against Keith. Probably wouldn't end up pulling through because there were hard people against her. But point is, she was no slouch, even though people call her a goat and stuff. She played well. Jacqueline, lest we forget, she and John were the swing votes for a majority of the game. Mm-hmm. Yeah, she was down and out at the beginning, but then she found her footing with John. A lot of it was off of him. He had strong relationships with Missy and stuff, but she was still in there strategically doing well. So I think she was pulling her weight too. So I think if any of them were against an Alec or fumbled final tribal. I don't know. Like, there's a chance that any of them, or Baylor, like Alec Baylor, and insert one of the final three. I don't know. So yeah, I thought it was a strong final three. Is obviously like
imagine Alec at final tribal is just, I don't know why it made me laugh so much.
I think Mark the Chicken would have beaten Alec at final tribal.
Alec Baylor Missy, who wins there? Like the guy's probably going Alec out of spite, but like I don't know. But I do think all the final three were good. I think Natalie far away, like Jeremy said, balled out, but I wouldn't have been that shocked if any of the other two won.
Wes, before I get to you, I had it in my notes and I deleted it, but I mentioned this yesterday with Purple Jeremy. For anyone that didn't listen yesterday, that's how I refer to Jeremiah. He's Purple Jeremy. With the Christies this season, the Christies are what the Nicaragua jury thought Chase Rice was. Like, the Nicaragua jury thinks that Chase Rice is some dumb redneck when you don't really see that at all, at least in the edit. And here, the Christies are shown as being just, you know, to use Marty's words, dumber than a box of hammers. So it's just that's just funny to me that Chase said that. But Wes, what I because I bring up Nicaragua. When 49 happened and we had our all women final three, it was like it blew up Twitter for a bit. And I mean, I was one of the people that chimed in. It's like, wow, this is crazy. This is the first time that we've had this. Well, doing the marathon this time, you know what I realized? In the history of the show, there has only been one final three that has had all men, and that is Survivor Nicaragua. Like, having all women at final three has happened more often than, even if you talk about people that like, I didn't even talk about final tribal because like Marquesas and all that. Like, not even talking about final tribal, just final three in general. There are more women final threes than there are men final threes. But for me, this one is the most. I love, like, Marquesas is one of my favorite seasons for obvious reasons. One World, I think, is the best final three as far as gameplay is concerned, but this is the most entertaining final three as far as all women. For you, just living in the bubble of the episodes that we watch, are you always voting Natalie, or are you voting a different way?
I'm really glad you asked the man about the all-women final three.
No, don't worry.
Thank you. Much like the all-man Vanuatu episode.
I mean, just mathematically, like this season, there was only 8 women to 10 men this season. So given that 3 out of the 8 women on the season made the final tribal is in itself fucking awesome. And then I would agree. This is like, I wouldn't say that they all had an equal chance to win, but, you know, not being out there, I think depending on if I was like on the jury, depending on my, like, which tribe I started on, I think that at least like I could be persuaded. We'll get into, I guess, some second place votes in a minute, but as somebody who really enjoyed Reed, I might have been that petty and at least given somebody a second place vote.
Christine, Christine, in the world of just the edited episodes that we get, how are you voting? Muted.
I'm muted. And the specific women are being silenced. On the specific world of the edited episodes, I mean, obviously Natalie, but I will say I am a big Jacqueline fan. For Inside Survivor, we did like a 50 for 50 where we each drafted 10 players to be on season 50, and I did initially draft Jacqueline, and I did replace her with Genevieve. So I did think of her. I think Jacqueline's are very underrated, and she's someone who just played a perfect, I think, not to compare to another all-woman final three, but like not same in gameplay or anything, but just think about like a runner-up, a Sabrina, of someone who like played a perfectly fine game. Like I can't really point out made like off the top of my head major flaws with her game like I can, with a Missy, like who just went to the end with someone who was really strong and had a really impressive run in the game. And I think in a universe where it's a slightly different final three, Jacqueline would have been a great winner. I think she's heroic. I think her relationship with John is actually quite interesting in the narrative of the season. She gets to be part of some of these big moments, with the did you vote for who I told you to vote for, wins this final immunity challenge, but it's very similar to Sabrina and one world where it's just like she went to the end with Natalie Anderson, Sabrina went to the end with Kim Spradlin, and those two are the legends, and those and Sabrina and Jacqueline are the ones we'd say it'd be fun to see her play again. Like, Sabrina was also on my 50 for 50 draft. I have a soft spot for women runner-ups who just went to the end with some strong competition.
And Christine, I'm so glad you brought that up, because I also compared Jacqueline to Sabrina. And I talk about this a lot, at least over the last 29 days, of Survivor revisionist history, where people like to just say things that they've read on Reddit and they just regurgitate it because it has to be right. For instance, Kim Spradlin was playing against 18 or 17 jabronis, and like it didn't matter, and she just ran house on everyone and she won. When in reality, there were at least a few people in the season, specifically the person.
There were some jabronis.
Yeah, there were, mostly jabronis, but there are also people like Sabrina who, in a situation where Kim's not there, potentially wins, and people just have kind of buried her through time, even though Survivor put her on the second chances ballot and she was asked back for Game Changers. With Jacqueline, it's the same thing, where if she's not sitting next to Natalie Anderson, who, did you vote for her? I told you to vote for. That didn't go on this revenge tour that she did during the season, that isn't the CrossFit Jesus that she is. If she's sitting next to an Alec and a Missy or something like that, Jacqueline is looked at as one of the greatest. So it's all, I won't say it's frustrating, but it's frustrating that Jacqueline and Sabrina specifically have now just been lumped in with, Natalie and Kim just beat up on a whole bunch of people that didn't know what they were doing. It's like, that's not true. They beat pretty good competitors at the end, because I don't even think Chelsea was that bad, and I don't think Missy was that bad. That's one of the many reasons why I love doing the marathon the way that I do it, so that I can keep in mind all the stuff that you read on Reddit and Twitter and all this. Like, okay, no, that's clearly bullshit, because I'm watching it in real time and know that's not true. Excuse me. Chan, similar to Monica Culpepper in Blood versus Water, where they could basically continue to ask her the same question over and over again of, who is Monica? What is this? What is that? Just ask her the same. They basically asked Jacqueline the same question over and over again here. Yeah. What's one big move that you did all by yourself? And this is one of the first times that we get this in Survivor history, where people are specifically asking about big moves. Mm-hmm. And, I have my opinions on that. I don't get it. I don't get, why do you think that they are specifically asking her? Do you think it's, we want a reason to vote for you over Natalie, or we just don't have anything else to ask you? Because even John asked her.
Yeah, first of all, justice for Monica Culpepper. She's a neat lady. Second of all, I think they could have come in really, I think when you're a juror, right, and none of us have been a real show Survivor juror, but you want to feel like you're giving everybody an equal chance, even if you're locked in. I'd say, with the exception of maybe the loved ones, they're obviously not going to try to prop other people up, but people, at least smart jurors, will want to hear the full story and hear gaps that maybe they don't have. So it could have been a mix of both. Maybe some of them were open-minded on the fence of Natalie or Jacqueline, and they said, give me the full case, because I know Natalie's game a bit better than yours because she did it in front of us. Or they were like, well, John, you're in John's shadow. Yeah, that too. If you're in John's shadow, we want to know what you did outside of him. So some of them might have been doing it for better reasons than others, like giving her a real shot. But yeah, you want to know the full story as a juror.
So I mean, based off that, I think it's bias, because I think if John was sitting there, they wouldn't be asking him those same questions. Yeah, for sure. Jeremy Collins as a juror gives off David Murphy vibes of, hey, y'all should be voting for Natalie here. Like, he doesn't even try to hide the fact. He's just like, the best player is going to win. Y'all better not be bitter about Natalie because she played, she balled out, she did this, she did that. As much as I love Jeremy Collins, one of my favorite players ever, today it's like, oh man, I hate David Murphy, and I'm getting David Murphy vibes here. I love Eric Cardona, so like I could just put him in that category. But instead, I had David Murphy going ahead, and I don't know why this time. That's neither here nor there. This is our final around the horn question before we get to our wrap up. Reed, Wes, we'll start with you. We'll go Christine. We'll finish with Chan. Is Reed's speech the final memorable speech that we have in Survivor history? Good, bad, whatever. Is this the last time that we have a Sue Hawk one? Even I would say even a Big Tom and an All-Star. Obviously, Corinne and Gabon, Eric Cardona, my favorite jury speech of all time. Yeah. Just memorable, where to this day, and I told whoever, I think it was just Christine and Chan before we went live, I have sat in a game and watched someone verbatim give the Reed speech as a juror, because it's just, for better or worse, it's just one of those moments that you just kind of remember. So Wes, is this the last one, or can you think of something that's happened past this?
Ooh. I do think it's still the best Final Tribal speech. Now, I think we could have gotten better ones, but they changed the format like 5 seasons later, so that hamstrings the thing a little bit. And I think Reed is a reason why they changed the format. Well, really, Korong is a big reason why they changed the format, but Reed does give the most legendary, like, just, I don't even know if it's bitter, but just truly mean jury speech. And still one of my all-time favorite like FTC votes. Like, still I think one of the most iconic like Final Tribal votes to accompany that speech too.
Christine, as someone who went viral for basically narrating a final tribal vote speech, is this the last one, or do you feel like something that has happened past this?
Off the top of my head, I can't think of one that like fits that what we think of when we think of an iconic jury speech. This is definitely like on the list of, I've been asked to do this one, when that video was going around. It is not my favorite, in that it is like, I say this as a theater kid, it's overly theater kid. I enjoy this jury speech because it's just mean and it's brutal, but like I will always love more like the Trishes of the jury speeches, of just like that like raw emotion. And like Sue Hawk's is obviously rehearsed, and like, but I love that one, feels like a little less polished because she was the first to do it, and she's not a theater kid. Like I'm discriminating against my fellow theater kids. This one feels a little more talk about like, well, you think about like someone like Reed is very aware of like the concept of an iconic jury speech, very aware like that he's on TV in a way that like our old school bitter jurors weren't as like consciously thinking about, and like, or like that wasn't like where it was coming from as much. So it is definitely the last of its kind, but it's already kind of a dilution for me of what like a true iconic jury speeches, which is like this like raw like expression of feelings that is rehearsed. Of course, we know that they rehearse these at Ponderosa, but this one feels rehearsed in a way others don't, and that's fine. But that's why it will never be like in my upper echelon. It's fun, but that's not to me what it truly is.
Quickly, Chan, before I get to you, it's funny bringing that up because I have the Tonys on in the background because one of my friends got nominated for plenty of Tonys tonight, and she's there, and I'm like waiting for the moment that she potentially wins the one that I'm excited for, so that I can react on camera. I don't think it'll happen before we get off the air, but so yes, I also love theater, and I'm really excited about what potentially happens off the screen. So if you see me looking over here, that's what's happening.
Yes. Oh my god.
Good luck,
Chan, just all-time jury speeches. Is this the end, or do you think that because Wes brought up like the format does change, and so like my favorite jury speech of all time is the Michaela Bradshaw one besides Eric Cardone one, it's the Michaela Bradshaw one in Game Changers. Like, just tell me something you know about me. Do you think this is the end?
I don't know too much about what happens after. I don't remember, but I really liked it. Like, I love drama. I love people being mean to each other. So I really liked it, but I don't think there's anything else to be said about the speech itself. But are you going to ask us about who we think should come back? Because
yes.
Okay,
yeah.
Then I can wait because I was gonna parlay Reed should come back from this.
Oh no, yeah. So it kind of seems like we're at least somewhat.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I like a little theatrics, like better than boring or whatever. People being like, I don't know. I liked it.
So we get a Natalie win. Like I said at the beginning of this, when I did the token change recap and I said, oh yeah, JT's first perfect game winner, it should have been Earl Cole, it should have been Sandra if Tawana had voted for her at the end, and then I brought up Natalie Anderson of like, oh, if she wasn't playing the Blood versus Water season, she would have won perfect, but like she wouldn't have because Reed also votes for Jacqueline. So I was wrong. I just forgot that Jacqueline got a second vote there. But Natalie Anderson does, in fact, win. And we do get a fair few returnees from this season. Specifically, everyone from the same tribe that I mentioned earlier, Wentworth, Keith, Jeremy, and Natalie. Question: do you think that this is the best version of all of them, or do you think that we get that better version later? And I feel like two of them are obvious. And the second is, are there any other people that haven't come back from the season that you feel like could potentially, or that you want to come back? Christine, we'll start with you.
I mean, in terms of like it's been a minute since I watched Cambodia, so I feel like I can't like the Keith of it all. Like, I don't remember. Like, I mean, I remember the is it the duck the little thing? I mean, this is obvious. Like the Kelly Wentworth and Jeremy Collins, we truly see them shine on Cambodia. I think unfortunately Natalie, by virtue of being on Edge of Extinction for so long on Winners at War, that's just like unfortunately, like, she made it to Final Tribal Council of Winners at War, but that in some ways kind of tainted her legacy because people were so like, mad about the Edge of Extinction twist and like weren't happy with the way she played when she came back from that twist. And so, it doesn't take away, and there are lots of people who still argue, she played well on We're Just at War with what she had. I feel like she's the only one that like was dinged a bit on her return by virtue of being voted out first and then being on Edge of Extinction, this twist that people have so many complicated feelings about. But I feel like everyone else returns and it's an improvement and it's like delve more into their characters. And obviously Jeremy on Cambodia, you can't deny that is like a much better outing for him. But Natalie is the one, unfortunately, that I think is hurt by returning.
Wes?
Yeah, like, I mean, given that the three returning players from Juan Del Sur make the final Well, in Cambodia, sorry, in Second Chance.
Yeah.
Given that they all make the final 5 in Cambodia, like that speaks volumes to, you know, their potential and their abilities. And like even Natalie, like, yeah, the Edge of Extinction comes with an asterisk, but she still played one of the best games that you could play that season, given the parameters of how the game was structured. Is it more impressive than her winning game? Not at all. But like, I would say nobody like weakened their resume by returning. Like even like Jeremy's third, like go at like third
And
season.
Yeah,
like
he
he's put on like a good performance.
Yeah, Tony's drones take him out.
Yeah, like, man, I wish we could have had Jeremy, you know, over all of them, but you know, I'll take what I can get. And yeah, in terms of people who should return, like I really wish like Reed came back at some point. Like he was just so fun. Like I want to see that energy again. I want to see that like kind of like cockiness again. Like when Reed wins that immunity and just goes straight into that split of just like, I'm the best, deal with it. One of my favorite immunity wins.
Just a very long individual. It's just a very long human being. Chan.
Yeah, I'm just getting to the second question because I think everything's been said already about the returnees. Josh and Reed, I think both deserve a chance. I know they're no longer together, but that could be kind of fun. Well, even if they're on separate seasons. But Josh was running the tribe; he clearly has chops. Reed, very good attempts from playing from the bottom, entertaining, willing to get in a fight. Those are the only two like solid ones. If I were to see John or Jacqueline again, I wouldn't complain. Like they both have chops, I think, and especially now, like they're so cute. Like I don't know if y'all know their story with like finally having a kid, but they're just so wholesome. Like I do like them, even if I wasn't like the biggest John fan watching, but I still like he's a nice guy and they love each other and they're I think they're cute and wholesome. Besides that, I'm looking at the cast. I'm all set. Besides that, I saw Baylor had a TikTok that was like, I was on Survivor and something like she's like regrets lying on the show. It was like a whole thing. So I don't necessarily see her. I don't think she'd want to come back. Yeah, I think I'm good on everyone else, but I'd love to see Reed and Josh back.
All right, final 2 questions. Number 1, who would your ally be this season? Chan, we'll start with you.
Oh gosh. I need like a strategizer to keep up with, but not somebody too. Dang. Oh my goodness. I mean, Jeremy, Natalie, I'd like to I mean, I need someone who I can keep up with, but obviously they turned out to be win threats, but I don't think I could work with somebody who didn't know what they were doing. Yeah, sorry. Someone else go. That's a hard question. Joshua Reed?
I would say, like, based on nothing, just other than I've always just been so fond of her, Jacqueline. I don't know. I love Jacqueline so much for some reason, so much that I picked her for 50 for 50 for Inside Survivor and then swapped her for Genevieve. I saw the vision. I knew she was going to be on 50 and I wanted someone to actually, from my team, to get on the season. She's a nice lady. I just feel like she and I could queen out.
Wes?
I mean, there's definitely the obvious, like, awesome, like, win potential people like Jeremy and Natalie. I'm going to just go with a hot take of somebody who I could just, shield with. It would be very fun to ally with Drew Christie for a little bit and just see how far I could push him in the game. And then he could take the hit and then see what I could do afterwards. Not necessarily, not a ride or die, but like, die so I can keep going. I think that would be a very fun dynamic.
And he would be your ally. He wouldn't be ours. It wouldn't be hard.
Right. Yeah, I would definitely try to play on that. I would definitely try to play
You
on
have
that.
fun with it. That is funny though.
Chan, did you figure it out?
Oh yeah, I think like Jeremy, Natalie, or Reed and Josh, because they're both. I need someone strategic to work with. I wouldn't be able to deal. But then again, like Missy and Baylor were super loyal and easy to beat, so maybe they're the people to align with. I don't know. I think anyone except like Keith, Wes, Alec, Drew, just because again, I can't not have it. I can't work with unpredictable.
Obviously, I have two answers. One is for real reasons. One is because of other reasons. The one is, Jeremy, clearly. The other one is, of course, I would want to work with Missy. But, and then final question. Something that the modern fandom would not like about Survivor San Juan del Sur. Wes, we'll start with you.
Well, I mean, like John Rocker's the easy thing, but like even somebody who we genuinely love, Keith Nail, I don't think he would have hit as hard in the modern era. Which again, I hate to say it, but I'm talking about, the people who might, not love all of his random takes, like when he's on Exile Island.
No eggshells. You can say what you feel. Say what you feel.
Yeah, he just said some weird stuff about Josh, and like it's endearing as an old man who doesn't. I don't want to say doesn't know better, but like, wasn't of that.
It's cute when an old white guy from Louisiana says it in 2014, 2013.
Yeah.
Now would be like,
again.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I think compared to John Rocker, nobody is going to get hit with anything. But yeah, that's the only thing. Like, because I think Natalie kind of paved the way for a lot of new era winners to like lay low and then strike in the end game.
Yeah. Chan?
I don't think, besides, the offhanded comments, maybe some sexist comments, maybe some, off-color things. But like we've talked about before, like that's like, I see Survivor as a time capsule to that time. And I don't watch that and necessarily get like offended. Like, I'm like, okay, these were like, they're characters on a show. Like maybe they suck in real life. That's not my business. So I don't watch it and necessarily get like offended personally, but yeah, I mean, it was a sign of the times. But besides that, like I was trying to think more of like game stuff. Like, would they hate the twists? Would they hate the way people moved? And I don't think so. I thought it was pretty mild, like a good level of twists. A good, like I liked the battle dome, whatever they called it, of people facing off. I liked the exile twist. No big complaints there. So yeah, I'd say just the obvious stuff, John Rocker, etc.
And then Christine.
I mean, it's hard to think of anything but the John Rocker of it all. Like, I mean, like, I will do an inverse of like something that I think people would actually love now. Like, I think people would think Julie's iconic. I think they would be like, that diva. Like, I think we would be Hannah Rosifying her. Like, we'd be like, like we'd be making edits of her with the clip from America's Next Top Model, like fan camps. I see it. So I'm gonna flip that question because I do think this one is like has a very obvious answer that was also true at the time. But yeah, I'm gonna reverse it and say I think we would be Hannah Rosifying Julie McGee.
Where's her second chance?
Yeah.
Second chance. Yeah. Hate those things so much. For me, I think that the modern fandom would hate that yes, we have the blood versus water twist, and then we also have the Exile Island twist, and then we also have other twists in this season. I feel like just based off of what I read about what fans hate about post-COVID Survivor, I feel like this would kind of fall into the realms of, this season is just plagued with all of this. Now, I disagree.
Really?
I enjoy San Juan del Sur, but like, and I talked about this when I did Cook Islands. Cook Islands is full of twists, basically, except for the merge.
Yeah.
And I don't think that if Cook Islands happened now, with the obvious like caveat of like race wars, I still don't think people would like it now because that season is an advantage per round. So for me, 29 days into this, San Juan del Sur is number 11 out of 29. It is
That's
right
fair.
below.
We've had a lot of strong ones so far.
Yeah, it's right below China and right above Amazon. I enjoy San Juan del Sur because even though the cast doesn't know what they're doing, it is the best version of the cast not knowing what they're doing. I think that it gives us a very compelling final three. I think that the look at the people that we've gotten back, coming back from this, and this is not a one world type situation where we're like, we get a lot of people from one world, but like, why? We get people from San Juan del Sur where it's like, this makes sense, and I've enjoyed all of them coming back from it. We're going into the 30s now, and for me, the 30s are pretty much half and half as far as good to bad. And so I guess I'm sort of excited to talk about it, but especially not Worlds Part though. Christine, what do you have going on this summer?
Oh, famously, I do have something going on this summer. Every summer, I do a summer rewatch podcast on the Bitter Jurors Podcast Network. So far, I've done Vanuatu, Panama, Marquesas, Borneo, and for year 5, we were doing Pearl Islands. So the series is called I Can Get Loud Too. I just put out episode 1 for the premiere with Teeny and Steph. It was super fun. And I'll reveal exclusively here, my guest for episode 2 coming out this week is Christina Mills from Survivor 49. Super excited. I was excited to have her on based on her jury speech. I could tell she was an understander of old school Survivor. So very excited to have her on. So check that on the Bitter Jurors podcast feed. Follow us at Bitter Jurors Pod on Instagram, TikTok, and find us on Blue Sky. Just search Bitter Jurors. We come up, and that will be where all the updates about that series are.
If y'all have not listened to at least the first 4 of these, they are a lot of fun. I am a big, especially the seasons where she talks about seasons that some people like Vanuatu. The fact that Vanuatu is still looked at as like, oh, it just kind of happens. Vanuatu is amazing. Thank you to Wes, Christine, and Chan. We were 15-ish minutes away from breaking the Marquesas record of longest pod for this marathon. I've got about 3 weeks to potentially break that. Thank you so much to the 3 of you. Thanks to everyone in the chat. Once again, thank you to everyone that's been reaching out on social media. Erica, thank you for the care package that you sent. I really am not looking forward to tomorrow, but somehow I'll get over it. Make sure to like, subscribe, tell your friends that I have this crazy person that's watching 50 Seasons of Survivor in 50 days. Next season, good luck, Coach Drew. Yes, thank you so much. And we will see you all tomorrow for Survivor Worlds Apart.